Good evening. I am excited to be here, and I wish everybody here would just make some noise and for excitement to be here on the 2016 March to leadership, new leadership, and new direction. I'm excited. Y'all sitting around. I'm excited. I got energy. I'm elated about what's taking place. This is my first time out, and I'm excited about it. And I'm looking forward to just doing a bang-up job and trying to get to know everybody in all the districts throughout the 9th District, which is actually the Midtown Emerson corridor. So again, I'm excited about meeting y'all, moving in y'all different areas of town. I've noticed there's so many different offshoots in the 9th District, amen? So again, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Y'all looking sad. I don't see no reason to be sad, amen? We're about to have a great time in this election, finding new leadership and doing some dynamic things. I will say, it is the name. It is not the name you know, but the service you need. It's your need. Your needs matter, and I'm here to bring you what you need. I am running under your needs matter. One of the problems we see in Baltimore is that everybody says it doesn't matter. When the people understand that it matters again, then we'll start to see effective change. We got to get back to things mattering again in our communities, okay? And so again, it is not in the name, but it's in the service you need and the service you expect to receive. We ought to be expecting to receive the services that we need in our communities. Y'all ain't gotta get with me, I'm fine, but guess what? I live in the 9th District, so I don't live outside the district. I understand the needs that are needed in the 9th District. So again, together with all of us, I will try to bring forth the needs what we need. My campaign will be centered around bringing the citizens of Baltimore and the 9th District what they need and what they pay taxes to receive. It will be about leadership that is visible, accountable to the citizens of Baltimore and to the 9th District. I look forward to it. And God bless you, and we look forward to coming together and doing a great job.
Good evening. I don't believe I need the microphone, but I know it's for recording purposes. But I want to say good evening to you. I'm John Bullock, and I'm running for Baltimore City Council right here in the 9th District. You know, the reason why I'm running is about what we need and listening to those conversations over in the hall, right? You hear people talking about recreation centers for our young people. You hear people talking about safety. I'm raising my family within this district. Now, I know what it is to struggle. I know what it is to have people invest in me in terms of education and recreation. It wouldn't have been possible for me to go to college and get scholarships and gain the skills to teach young people and improve our neighborhoods if my teachers didn't push me hard, if my coaches didn't push me hard to do my best to make it to this point. But it wasn't just to do it to get these accomplishments, it's to do it to serve our communities. And when my wife and I purchased our first home, right, we were living in the community and recognizing that some needs had to be addressed. So I became the neighborhood association president. And we saw what was not happening in our community. We saw that our elected officials were not listening to us, right? It's a real problem. We know that people are not solving our issues. When we think about the need for trash being picked up, we need recreation centers, we need investment in our schools. This is what it's about, okay? And it's about the future of our communities. So we can keep doing the same old thing, but we'll get the same old results. Okay, and so now it's about the future of not only the 9th District, but also Baltimore City. Yes. I'm raising my family here. My wife, Jacqueline, our sons, Thomas and George. We've knocked on over 4,000 doors within this district. Yes. And what we've learned is that the issues that matter to people are the same ones that I want to see in our communities. Safe streets, good schools, recreation centers, jobs for folks. We can't keep talking about crime if we don't give people opportunities to get off the corners. These are some of the things that we really have to do to make sure that our future is going to be bright within the 9th District. I really need your support, because the only way we're going to do this is with the support of people within the community. So again, my name is John Bullock, running for City Council. I look forward to answering your questions and being accountable to you, because that's what we need, accountable leadership within our communities. Thank you.
All right, let's give John a hand, y'all. Doing a great job out there. And love this brother. I'm Kenny Ebron. I'm running for the 9th District as well. I'm running on the Republicans as well. But my thing is that I'm not talking about what I can do for the 9th District. I'm talking about what I'm already doing for the 9th District. I'm in the 9th District working for the people in the 9th District, getting the things that they need. We had senior citizens that are trapped in their homes in the 9th District in the 21216 zip code. We went out there and we shoveled those people front. We shoveled their front so they wouldn't get a fine. we shovel the back so that they can get in and out of the house just in case of emergency. Every day that school is closed in that community, we are feeding the children. Not only that we wait for the children to come to the community center to get the food, we get our cars together and we go out to the community and we knock on the doors and make sure that those children eat. And these are the things that we are doing in the community. We're not waiting to say when I get into the office. We've been doing this, and we've been doing this for 3 years. When I had a problem with our city councilman, that he wasn't on point of getting things done that we needed in the city to get done in our community. So I said, well, I decided to run for the 9th District. I walked around in my community helping out kids, and I had holes in the bottom of my shoes. I'm walking, I'm hanging out with the governor, lieutenant governor, going to meetings, shoes shined up, but at the bottom of my shoes, they had holes in them. Because I didn't want to give up on the children in the community. I didn't want to give up on the senior citizens community. I went to my city councilman time after time asking, please help us in our community. It didn't happen, so I went and ran for city councilman for the 9th District. It was so many people running, so I ran after the Republican.
I'm J.B. Kenny. I'm running for the 9th District City Council seat. And like John, and we've talked about this during the summer, he and I got together at a coffee shop and talked about how we could make a commitment. No matter what happens in this race, we're going to work together. We're going to talk about things. We're going to work out the issues. One of the things I've been doing is going around to all the schools. I've been in and out of these schools. I've been talking to the principals. I've been talking to the teachers. I've been to see the city council president's office, talk with those people downtown. And then I went as far as to talk to the union president, Miss English. And she says that the president city council member had never even been to her office. And I'm going, wow, how's that? Then I've also been over to Baltimore, spent some time over there. I've gotten people jobs. I've gone throughout the community, knocking on doors, talking to people. I've gone out of state to find some assistance. I've recently had a sit and sip at one of the local bars that sit down and find out from you good people what the problems are. And you all said the same thing time and time and time again. I've also had these same issues because I live here, 803 McKean Avenue. I've had my place broken into. January the 8th, a couple guys got caught. We went to court. I cut them loose. But I cut them loose because I did not want them to get caught up in a system that's already failed them, and it continues to fail them. I'm doing what it takes to get things done. I haven't waited. I'm doing it now. If you take the time to see what we're doing, check out my website, check out my YouTube videos, you'll see that I've been around looking at all the crime and grime and also trying to figure out how do we get businesses that we need to come in here to help us so we can get these people off the street and get them all back to work. Not talking about a $10 job. Thank you.
Good evening. Oh, I don't need this. I'm Councilman William Pete Welch, and before you accept anybody's candidacy, sit down with them and ask them what they've done. And ideas are wonderful, but I think actions speak a lot more. When we have graduations, you have people that are on boards and they never go to graduations. I attended 35 of 35 graduations in my district and presented each student with a city council resolution to urge them on in their educational endeavors. When I visited the schools, I saw unsafe school conditions. I reported it to the school CEO. There's a thing called the Blitz team. I made sure I contacted them, and I followed up to make sure these unsafe conditions were remedied in each and every case until we had a safe school for our students. And because of that, I requested an inventory of conditions from each principal in the 9th District and followed up on each one of those conditions that was not acceptable, including air conditioning in schools where the windows can't be opened because there are bars on the windows. When I became a council person a little bit more than 5 years ago, I introduced legislation to build a cancer center in my district on Baltimore Street. That cancer center has been built. Recently, I brought a thing called an innovation center to Baltimore, to our district on Baltimore Street. Now, it's $185 million to bring them there. Do you know the Android system you have on your phones? Well, this innovation center is where it came from. And with that comes 800 jobs, 256 which are local. And we entered into a community benefit agreement where 35% of those jobs have to be from local residents, and another agreement when I gave them a thing called a TIF, where they give back $1 million to the community, $150,000 each year to the community organizations surrounding that for a 20-year period. So ask what people have done. I'm Councilman William Pete Welch. Happy to work with you, or have been working with you. God bless and keep each and every one of you.
When we ask residents what they would like to see happen to improve public safety and improve police-community relations, that number one thing they asked for was police foot patrol. Will you support the allocation of funding from Baltimore City's budget for permanent police foot posts in high crime areas? Will you support funding for training to ensure that police cadets, seasoned officers, and commanders are trained to develop the skill set needed to ensure the equal and respectful treatment of persons they serve? Whenever we ask for foot posts, we hear back that the police department does not have enough funding. Where will you pull the funding and resources from to ensure that neighborhoods get the foot posts that are needed?
Okay, I would say that we do need better public safety throughout our communities. I think it's something that is very vital, something we need to look at. I do believe that we need to engage in bringing police foot patrols into our communities, but not something that will maintain in our community. I think after a while we should be able to allow them to go and do other things without them walking our communities forever. So I do support training, cultural renewal, that we look at things from a cultural aspect as well as from what the police department does, because as well we can't expect everything to be done for us. There's some things we must do for ourselves. And again, I want to look at, and when you look at the academy, we need to revisit the people who are coming into the police department. Look at how they're being scanned out to come in, so we now know who's coming and working in our communities, and not just people coming in from anywhere. So again, so when we look at these kind of things, we. So public safety is a need for our community, but again, it is about our need. What do we need in our communities to better equip our communities to grow economically, to be safe? And we talk about even with our 311. When using those means to help galvanize our communities, that there's some things there for us that we really don't take advantage of. So we just can't say, oh, let's put it all on the police department. What are we going to do in our own 9th district to make our 9th district stronger and better as we go forward and with public safety? Public safety is between everybody, the city and the community. It does not go for just one entity.
One moment before Dr. Bullock goes. 30 seconds. Can you talk about funding, because you didn't mention funding?
I think, again, I don't know I'm not going to sit here and like a lot of guys said, they know what's going on, they doing this and doing that. I don't know what the budget restrictions are there. This is my first time. I will have to take a look at these things and see what's really feasible, what's really going on in that area of budgeting for not only just public safety, but many other services for the city of Baltimore. So I'm not, I've been living in Baltimore and Frederick Avenue for 10 years. I've been working with the school system. So I'm not here about what I did and what I done. I've been working working hard to get things done. And so I don't have, I'm closing, but I don't have no set program what I'm gonna do, because I'm trying to find out what do we need that's gonna make our needs better.
Thank you, Dr. Bullock.
All right, so good evening again. Great question. One of the things we think about when we talk about public safety is really going to be foot posts, right? Now, we all know that you're going to get better communication if I'm looking at you eye to eye and I'm talking to you and you see me on a daily basis. Part of it is developing a relationship. And what we have is fractured in our city is the relationship between the communities and the police. And so we definitely have to have people who are going to be engaged in that way. People will trust you more. You'll get better information, better closure rates as it relates to solving some of our crimes. If you listen to someone talking about whether it be the Upton Market or talking about the West Side Shopping Center or any other place in the 9th District, they'll tell you that oftentimes people become victimized because they don't see the police around. Now, just because the police are around doesn't mean that the interaction is always going to be positive. So we also have to have cultural sensitivity training. We also have to have conflict de-escalation. So in terms of dealing with folks in the community, how do we de-escalate? How does it not get to a point where someone gets hurt or killed, right? And then we talk about where the money comes from. Look, you have to think about where these resources come from. And so just like we look at the school system, same thing with the police, oftentimes we'll see more money that's actually within the administrative offices rather than actually on the streets. And so if we can redeploy some of those resources to actually being with foot patrols on the streets. Look, we have a lot of equipment and that's great. But I would rather see more investment in terms of the manpower. And what we've seen over the years is that foot patrols actually increase when there's an uptick in crime. But then when the crime subsides, the foot patrol goes away, the foot post goes away. So foot posts have to be a permanent sort of basis. And again, not like an occupied state in our communities, but to make sure there is continuing to have that good information, that good police work that's being done so that we're actually repairing communities and not having people being victimized and feeling that they're under a threat within their communities.
Okay, again, it's not what I would do, it's what we're doing now. In our 9th District, in our 21216, we have people that are secure in the area that takes turns. So one day out of the week, they patrol the area to make sure everything is okay. We patrol the area, make sure that the kids are in the house by 9 o'clock. So we're not looking for the police to be there to make sure it's safe. We're there making sure the people in our community are safe. And we would spread this same thing that we're doing into the whole 9th District, that we have people that would go around and patrol their community to make sure their community is safe. We have to do it ourselves. We're looking for the city to do a lot of things for us and where the money and all of that. We're out there doing it ourselves. And this is what we're doing in the 9th District and the 21216. So we're making sure that the people are safe. And the sad thing is that when you look at the area that we're in a poor area where there's really no income at, where the drug dealers in our areas are the economy of the area, where Sister Reed can't go to the bank up the street and ask, can she borrow $10 so she can borrow $20, but she can go to the guy on the corner and get it from the guy on the corner. So what we did then, we had introduced the guys on the corner to the senior citizens, and they exchanged numbers. So when Miss Pat or Miss B need a refrigerator moved in her house, she can call the guys that's on the corner. Those guys will come out and actually move that refrigerator, and it doesn't cost her a penny. But at the same time, we have the same people that patrol in the area. And some of the same people that you see on that corner during the day, they patrol in the area too, because this is their community as well. So we have that relationship with the people in the community to make sure our community is safe.
Mr. Ebram, before we move on, just yes or no. So do you support permanent foot patrol in Baltimore City? That was the question.
Sure.
Mr. Ken?
Absolutely. But listen, crime and grime has been here a long time. At the end of the day, the only way that we're going to work this out, we got to have resources. Part of our reasons for doing what we're doing and going through what we're going through is because we don't have jobs, we don't have opportunity. We got to work at this thing as a community together. We got to start there. Redeploying resources that's already going to the police department, that's one piece. But I was talking earlier and I heard today about TIF money. There's money that developers are giving out as part of a redevelopment piece. Well, it's supposed to be $8 to every one, and we're not getting that rate ratio. It's a program that doesn't quite work, but we can look at how we can start looking at that money as well. Don't have all the answers, but I know once we start looking at where things are going, how they're allocated, we can probably get some things done. Absolutely, we need to get out in the streets and talk. We got to communicate with one another. Sensitivity training, absolutely. But more importantly, how the citizens themselves deal with the police and how we can go back and forth. I've had issues myself. I live here. And one of the things that I did is go out and talk with the police officers themselves and find out what their problems are. Why are they not getting along with us? And then I asked the brothers on the street, what is the problem? So it's a communicational gap. Sometimes it's just a relationship scenario that breeds over from all the things that have not been done and all the broken promises that we have not received. Herein lies another issue. Getting everybody to go and talk with one another collectively together. The associations, if you don't belong to an association, please go out and get into one, and let's bring all of this to bear. It's something that we can work together on. I thank you for your time.
Councilman Welch.
Sure. First, let me say that permanent foot patrols are a necessity. It's not a luxury. And the way that you pay for that is just a reallocation of funds allocated to the police departments. You don't have to go into the budget and make very many changes. I've talked with business owners in the 9th District and community leaders, and one of the things that we talked about in the revitalization of Baltimore Street was kiosks at 2 locations where police officers would be stationed and cadets would be guided through the community to patrol areas where there was high violent crime. Now, it costs $65,000 to $85,000 for a police officer to be stationed in one location. When you bring developers into an area and you're building new facilities like the Innovation Center, you have the ability to have community agreements with that developer and have them fund that police officer or police officers or kiosk to improve the crime in the area. Developers don't want to come to areas where there's crime, where it's an unstable neighborhood. So you create the stability in that neighborhood with that police force, with those officers working, with cadets who are in training walking with them to increase the presence, and you increase the stability in that area, and it becomes a revolving re-education and a revolving revitalization of that area. So, yeah, I do support it, and I don't think that you need to increase the budget. The budget is not controlled by the city council, it's controlled by the mayor. Hopefully we'll have a change in that process with a charter amendment by the president of the city council, which will change from a 5-member board of estimates, which is controlled by the mayor, she has 3 votes, to a 3-member board of estimates where you'll have the mayor, the president of the city council, and the controller, which will give you, through your city council, a greater voice in allocating funds for your needs in your communities. Thank you.
The No Boundaries Coalition and the Baltimore Youth Organizing Project listened to 237 young people between the ages of 14 and 24 to hear what they need to thrive. They told us they need more recreation in their neighborhoods and year-round jobs. Do you support the current proposal to allocate 3% of the Baltimore City's budget for youth opportunities? Do you support earmarking this funding for year-round youth employment and investing in recreation centers? Mr. Anderson.
Yes, I do support the allocation for more funds for the youth in the 9th District and all districts around the city. I think our youth are our future. I think they are where we're headed. Again, as we look at our districts and the recreation centers that have been closed strategically in certain communities that have had hurt and brought a lot of destruction, a lot of bad ill because our young people have nowhere to go for recreation, have no upward mobility. So again, we must look at recreation centers. And then the thing that I want to deal with the fact that if you close one, what are you replacing it with? Are you replacing it with some type of training, some type of facility that's going to allow upward mobility, a better reading, better arts and craft, whatever it may be? We have to continue to go back and look at the future of our community, and it is in our young people, with our schools, our recreation, because they knit together. They knit together, and so again, as we look at that, I think we have to, if we're going to really, if our communities are really going to grow, and if our young people, things matter. I hear a lot of people say it doesn't matter, and that's why I'm running Your Need Matter. Things must start to matter again in our communities. When they start to matter again, then we will start to see collective change, and then we won't need police in our communities 24/7 watching what we do and all the other things that we want the city to do. There must be some things we must start to do for ourselves, and recreation is one of them. Even with our churches, there's some large churches in the city that need to open up space and create recreation vehicles to help with our community. So yes, I am for recreation. I will do all I can to work with the young people in the city, because again, the youth is where we're going, not only in recreation, but in every area of our communities. Our young people must be a part of what we're doing going forward.
So absolutely support the 3% of the budget dedicated toward youth programs. Look, if we don't invest in young people early on, we're going to pay for it on the back end. So again, it's important. And I know for me, recreation and sports help save my life. Right. And so, again, I learned about running, about basketball. Look, I'm a runner now because of that. I've run marathons. That's 26 miles, but I know that's a long race, just like this campaign. It's why I didn't start yesterday. Right. We know that it takes a long, arduous journey to get there. Now, in terms of our young people, again, it has to be this dedicated stream of funding for these young people. And recreation centers, it can't just be a box that we put these young people in. It has to also be in terms of programming. We think about computers, we think about art, we think about music, we think about dance. All of that has to be part of the investment that we're making in young people. So absolutely support that project. And this is something that we really have to think about the future of our district. Because if we don't invest now, like I said, we're going to pay for it on that back end. And then there was another part of your question.
Yes. Do you support earmarking funding for year-round employment and investing in recreation?
Absolutely. So when we look at summer jobs, that's great, right? But what about the rest of the year? And these young people still have responsibilities in terms of their families, but also in terms of gaining life skills and job skills. So year-round employment is important. I know when I got my first job at 15, what it meant to me in terms of learning how to use those soft skills, making sure that you know how to open up a bank account and use those types of things. And this is preparation for the future. So if we want these young people to be off of our corners, we also have to provide some opportunities for them, not just in the summer, but in the year-round aspect. And that will also cut down on the crime. It'll give them something positive to do, and also it'll be important in terms of gaining those life skills. So we invest early on. 3% is more than fair. And then absolutely the year-round employment.
Okay, in our community, this summer, we had over 100 children for free fun camp, where we was able to use Belmont Elementary School, and we was able to have fun camp for them kids from the day that they got out of school up until it was time to return back to school. We also took I think it was about 25 to 30 children down to the Eastern Shore. We have Home Depot, one of the owners of Home Depot, had his private boat, and he took the kids down to the Eastern Shore to learn about how to become farmers. And those kids was able to bring watermelons and all types of fruits and vegetables back home after going down to the Eastern Shore, just to see the different side of how life was. So this is what we did for the children in that community. We also did with the children in the community, we have every 3 months we call Celebrate Life. We get 12 cakes that represent each month of the year, and everybody eats from the cake of the month they was born in to celebrate life. When we look at over 300 and something people in Baltimore was killed, you're looking at 30% of it was in our 9th district. So you look at the kids that's in that 9th district who lost their mother or lost their father through gun violence on the street. We did have to counsel those children. We did our one-on-one with the kids, or we did a family counseling with the children just to see where they was at with this, what's going on with them. So definitely we go deep into more than just saying, okay, we just want to have camp. We had people come in, teach the kids how to play golf. We had people to come in and teach the kids how to do different things. We also had got our $8,000 community center garden that we had opened up this year, last year, and we taught the kids as well how to grow food. So these are the things that we are doing. Thanks.
Give me a favor, read that one more time.
Okay, so it's a long question. We want to know, do you support the current proposal
Absolutely.
for the 3% in the out of the city's budget for youth opportunities, and do you support year-round? Do you support earmarking for year-round jobs and investing in the youth?
Absolutely. All the way around with everything. We've got to have something for the kids not only to do, it's a systemic problem that we have. We've got to teach these kids how to do everything. A lot of these children don't even know how to do simple chores. I've had young men not even know how to use any kind of equipment. So we need to get them skilled up in so many different ways. Get them involved, get them understanding what real responsibility is like. When you start off young like that, you get a chance to get a sense of self. So that's important. I mentor kids myself. I'm continuing to do it with young adults. We have to get involved. The communities themselves, the associations themselves, everybody. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a situation where you're going to send one of us up on a panel downtown to fix our problem. We've got to do it collectively. If we're not doing it collectively, getting feedback from all of you, then we're not going to get anything done. So with all of that said, we also need to be working with all the people who actually have jobs and talk with them about what they do, and the businesses, and get them involved. Sometimes it's just a matter of reaching out and showing young people how to do something, what they're doing. Take your kid to work with you. We need to get back to that. So part of what I like to do as we start to redeveloping this community, because I'm a contract guy, is get everybody involved and see what's going on, put a hard hat on them and get them out there. They can clean up, they can do all those things on the job sites. There's a lot of things we've got to work out, but it can be done. Secondly, moving forward with the recreational piece, we just have to try to make sure that the money is in place, and if it's not in place, we're going to have to reach deep down ourselves, get the churches involved, get the places that they have and the spaces they have. Thank you very much.
You're talking about the 3% set aside?
Yes.
I'm a co-sponsor of that legislation. I made sure that we had at least $30 million set aside to help our young people do exactly what you want them to do, to have jobs and other opportunities during the year. One of the first pieces of legislation that I sponsored, when I became a city council person, was to make YouthWorks a year-round project and a year-round program. And it passed overwhelmingly, and YouthWorks is, as much as they don't talk about it, a year-round program. I also was a co-sponsor of legislation that provided $4.2 million for after-school care for our children. So you have to look at what people have done versus what people expect and sometimes theorize about. When you go to schools and you see what a child has and does not have, you become very active legislatively, and that's what I've done with legislation affecting our children. Hopefully, if we make this charter change with the new Board of Estimates, how we can control the budget, we'll be able to do more and more for our children. Right now, we're sort of, our hands are tied, but our city council president, as well as I, believe in rec centers, and all of us grew up in rec centers, so we don't want to see them diminish. We want to see them flourish so that our children have a sense of balance. They go to school, they go to the rec centers, and I would like to see our rec centers change drastically because during the day they're not used. So they should be recreation centers that address all of our population. They should be multi-generational centers so that our seniors can use them during the day and our children can use them in the afternoon. And we need to partner with the MTA to have free transportation to our rec centers and have them home by 10. That's our curfew time. Thank you.
Thank you. So candidates for question 3, I just want to reiterate, please answer yes or no to the question and a proposed plan or a plan you already have on how you will actually do this. We want to make sure that the residents get an answer to the actual question. question 3, we've mapped everywhere in 21217, residents can buy hard liquor, and every place residents can purchase fresh produce. The ratio is 10 to 1. For every one place to buy an apple, there are 10 places to buy vodka.
Horrible.
Do you support legislation to reduce liquor store density in our residential neighborhoods? Proposed zoning legislation has been stalled for years. How would you fight to see that this is passed? Mr. Anderson.
Again, that's something I think we really have to look at, because it's almost twofold. Because if you close and then you shut down entrepreneurship, you shut down people with jobs. A lot of them are family jobs, family business. So again, it's you have to draw the line and see how you can really look at that where it does not. We understand it does some harm, but again, you said if you shut them down, then you take jobs out to community. So again, I think when you look at those type of things, do we need to do more with health awareness and drinking and education and those kind of things? So the answer with me is I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure how to properly go about handling that. But what I am sure of, that we need to get back in our communities and start to recognize what is harmful, what are the solutions to things that we may need to address going forward. Because everything about now is going forward. What is the needs of the people? So again, if the people come together and that's something that people would want to do, then I would support, because I'm here to represent the people, because again, it is the people's community that we must look at. There was another question? Okay, so it says it's been stalled for years. So the question for why has it been stalled for years? So again, when we ask them why have things being delayed, because there's always reason for delays. So again, I would have to look at what is delay, why is delay, who's holding up the delay, why are they holding up the delay? So again, if it's affect the needs of the people, then again, I would have to look at openly before I can make a decision on what that's really all about. Because I understand that excessive liquor hurts our community, but at the same time, we don't want to take away all the jobs of people, and there are other minorities as well. So we are also looking at there's other minorities in our community coming to work as well.
So absolutely we need to reduce liquor store density. And so it's been said, you have to look at what people have done and what hasn't been done. So part of the reason why it's been held up is that current legislators want to hold it up, because they benefit, because the people who contribute to their campaigns are the ones who are the liquor store operators. And we look at the Transform Baltimore and the need to actually reduce that density, and they want to hold it up. But you can't find grocery stores in our community. We're talking about the health of our young people, the health of our babies, who go past liquor stores on a daily basis. When you see people stumbling outside, I'm not saying you have to be a totally dry community, but at the same time, we don't need all these liquor stores. You look at all these non-conforming establishments in residential neighborhoods. They're right on corners. They're right in the middle of blocks. There's no need for all that. And so we have to be really honest about it, about what I've done. Look, I'm a city planner, and we look at how do we use plans to work for people. We need people down and I've been working with CPHA, who's also been wanting to see, that Citizens Planning and Housing Association, who wants to see some change in this. But they need the legislative votes on city council. We need people who are going to step up and fight against those interests who are not for us. And be quite frank with you, a lot of those establishments, owners, do not live in our communities. Yes. And so they take the money that we spend in those communities, take it out to wherever they live, and then contribute that money to people who don't help us. Yes. So absolutely, I'm in favor of reducing liquor store density.
Yes.
Give him a hand, y'all. This brother is sharp, and it's hard coming behind him. I mean, great job, and I mean, he's doing great. And I'm not saying it just to down me or what I'm doing. I'm doing great things, but the thing is that because me and John, we've been working together. And our goal is to get Pete Welch out the office. Yes. That's our goal. Sir. So if it takes me to do Republican and it takes him to do Democrat, then that's where we at with this. Because you all sitting here and a lot of you, if you can see the little bubbles going up over your head, you're saying this is a bunch of bull crap. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to hear that. We don't want to sit here for 3 and 4 hours talking about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. We don't want to see that. We don't want to hear that. We done heard that from this guy for a long time. 20 years in office with his mother.
We're not
You know-
here for that. I have respect for Mr. Welch regardless of how we feel about his legislation. Today, we just want to say what we're.
Well, you know what?
Myself.
I mean, it's true, but the thing is that I don't want to sit here and have to digest this bull crap that he's saying.
But it's a part of democracy.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Well, I'll sit with the people. I'll sit with the people, and I'll vote with John. I'll sit with the people.
Let's de-escalate the situation, y'all.
Wow. Well, what can I say? I love it. We're all in agreement.
Get him out of there.
The decorum is the word of the day, or the hour. The decorum. Let's tighten back up. Absolutely. That stuff's got to go. They don't represent us. They don't represent our interests. They don't put that money back. We could do much more. I've got a guy right now that's working on bringing sorbet into the school so we can actually manufacture it so the school systems that, by the way, most of the schools are the rec centers. Let me say that again, are the rec centers. So we're going to, they're not having all the money and funding they need. So we're going to find ways to help them. And I'm doing that right now. Call centers and all kinds of stuff. I've got some real good stuff that I'm working on. And let me make it clear. No matter what goes down, we're going to work together. Most of the panel and you all. We need you all because we work for you. You hire any one of us is what you're doing. We work for you. Beyond whatever happens up here. I got a little bit off on the tangent. Give me the rest of that question because I want to make sure I'm clear. I got a few seconds left. Come on.
We want to know about how do you propose the, how would you fight to get the legislation passed because it's been stalled?
Push. I'm a fighter. I'm going to say something. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to get the colleagues together. We're going to have to do some things to try to work with one another. Compromise. That's it. We're going to make it happen. And then we're going to make it do what it does by actually going to the press and pushing them.
Thank you.
I rest.
How many people want to hear the truth? Please raise your hand. Okay. Baltimore City's health department tried to rid the city of 135 liquor establishments 3 years ago. They tried to introduce an ordinance for zoning that would eliminate all the non-conforming use liquor stores. And I agreed. And it was odd that I agreed since for 6 years I was liquor commissioner in Baltimore City. Now, when they did that, they found out that if they did the legislation that Baltimore City's budget would be out of control because that's tantamount to condemnation. And you have to pay people when you condemn their livelihood and their business. You, as a community, can rid yourself of a liquor store very easily. In March, they have what they call a renewal period. And during that period, all you have to do is get a petition of 10 signatures, present that to the liquor board, and protest the renewal of that liquor license. And if you have a great argument, that liquor store goes away. And that license is killed forever and cannot be reissued to anyone else in Baltimore City. So there are means to do it without additional legislation. Legislation isn't from the city anyway. Liquor stores are licensed by the state of Maryland, and they're regulated under a section called Article 2B in the state code. And under Article 2B, you can very easily get rid of a liquor store. The problem is that when communities make a complaint, they make them to 911. You also have to make the complaint to the liquor board because the agencies do not share information. That's something we need to rectify. So there are means in place now to rid yourself of liquor stores, but be very careful in ridding yourself of a liquor store because they're just like they're good players and bad players. Some are good, some are bad. So make sure you know what you're doing. I'll help you do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
With all of the different issues that residents want to see elected officials work on, the biggest issue is feeling heard and recognized. the 1,000 Central West Baltimore residents we talked to in our listening tour do not feel heard by city government and do not feel the city government reflects their interests and concerns. Do you commit to working with the No Boundaries Coalition, a resident-led organization, to listen to residents and work on their concerns? And will you meet with leaders from this organization quarterly?
Yes, I will. I'm willing to work with everybody who wants me to work with them. Again, I go back. I want to just say something about the liquor stores. Again, I'm not for liquor stores. I believe, as Mr. Wells said, that we have the power to rid those things ourselves. And too often, if something matters, again, I'm going to go back. When things start mattering to us in our communities, then we will start taking the necessary steps to get those things done and addressed. And I'm here to work with the community. I'm here to work with all the agencies to do the very best I can. And so, again, give me your question again.
Okay.
I just had to get that off. Yes, I'm willing.
Work with the No Boundaries Coalition.
Yes.
Will you meet with staff from that organization or residents from that organization?
Yes. Yes, it would be my pleasure to. Again, I'm here to work and grow with the community of the 9th District. I'm here to give my energy, my talent, the direction and leadership. Again, a lot of us saying what we done. Well, what have we led? I mean, they can't have any, they can't just let anything. Have we built anything? Have we put anything in place? Or are we just saying what we will do, but have we done anything to help our community? Or are we just coming out now trying to get ahead through the community, but have we really put the time, the effort, and the passion that it takes to deal with this large 9th District community that's full of communities, full of different cultures as well. We haven't even addressed the many different cultures that are in the 9th District as we continue to grow forward. So again, I'm here to work with anybody. I take your opinions, your questions, whatever y'all have on your heart. I'm here to help the 9th District be strong, be better, and also transition into the 21st century and do the very best we can.
All right, so directly answering your question, absolutely we'll work with No Boundaries. It's one of the reasons why I've been attending No Boundaries monthly meetings, because I know it's important to actually be engaged in the work that's happening within the communities. In terms of what some of the things that we've done, one is being a president of a neighborhood association in the 9th District. We're at St. Peter Claver's Church. Been at St. Edward's Church, been the president of the parish council there. We know that faith is at the center of our communities. And we also know that in order to be responsive to communities, you have to listen. It's also one of the reasons why we've been knocking on doors, talking to thousands of people throughout the district, because we want to listen. Look, it's about working for you. And again, we don't know everything. And so it has to be a back and forth process, one that involves listening. And so we look at the role that organizers have done. I know there was mention of Build. We've seen organizers from Build. I've been a part of the strategy team in terms of Build for years. Again, I want to work for you. I want to listen. I know it's very important. Look, we have one mouth, two ears, right? You should listen twice as much as you talk. Okay? And so that's what I really like to put into practice. I thank you for your time. And again, that's why I'm running for city council. Not necessarily about a position, but it's about what can we do to lift up our communities. There's some people here who are doing some great work. And we have to lift up that work. That is part of what we need to do. So No Boundaries, the name is perfect because we know that there really are no boundaries. We're talking about West Baltimore here, right? So whether you're in the 7th District or the 9th or the 11th, we have to work together. And you know what? And I look at the sister with this young baby. I think about my little son who's one. And I'm so glad you brought her. I'm so glad you brought her because the movement starts today. These young people have to be exposed to what's going on. So she may not understand everything right now, but she's getting a great education. And we have to bring these young people. So all these young people who are here, I'm happy they're here. And we have to hear their voices too. So I'm also glad that No Boundary, part of the messaging has been what these young people had to say. Because it's their passion that we have to follow. You look at the unrest, you look at the dissatisfaction in our communities, it comes from years of stagnant leadership. So absolutely I want to work with you. I look forward to it. I cherish it.
Do I have to? Good job. Again, I don't know. I mean, myself, like I said, I am frustrated. I am pissed. I am tired. I'm tired of hearing about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and it's not working out. I'm tired of putting the same people back into the office. and not doing anything. You know, John and I, like I said, we are friends. I'd love to see John to go in there. If John can't make it in there, then I go in there.
And then
You know, I mean, this is real. I mean, I love what the brother's saying. I'm not throwing myself in. I'm not throwing the towel in or nothing like that. But when I see a person that's willing to go the extra mile and willing to do what they say they're going to do, I can then lay back and fall back and do what I'm doing in my community to make my community a much greater community, as well as it spread into other cities. We have a community center called Biggie's Community Center, which stands for Because Thanksgiving Gets You Started. We've been around for 3 years with that community center, with helping our children, helping our senior citizens, and helping the people in the community and bettering our community. We have the great relationship with our governor, Governor Larry Hogan. Governor Larry Hogan's come to our building every week before Christmas to give out 200 toys to the children in the community. Governor Hogan also sent Home Depot out to come out to do a $24,000 job on our building. Then he also had the Home Depot Bell Nursery come out to put in the $8,000 community garden as well. So we have a great relationship with him. Anything that I need done in our community, I can call him on his cell phone. I can call Lieutenant on their cell phone. I had that connection to do so. When the riot was going on in Baltimore, our community was safe because we had what we needed there, because I was able to call the governor and say, hey, we need some safety in our community, and we got it.
Thank you so much.
Again, no boundaries. I have no problem working with you. I want to work with you. I'm doing the same thing. I have a couple of partnerships even in this room. One of the things that we have to do, again, and I keep saying this, we have to work together. We are a community. We're no stronger. Let me back up. A city councilman is no stronger than without the people. The strength comes from you all. We are employed by you. We work for you, supposed to. And if we don't come together and work together, we're going to get nothing accomplished. We don't know all the answers, obviously, and a lot of things are hidden from us. We don't have transparency. We're not getting it. You're not getting it. When you go to the polls, sometimes you see, Science Center, we're going to spend $500,000 here. We're going to spend some money over at the zoo. But you don't know anything about where that money's coming from, where it's being done, and if you don't spend it, where is it going? Here we had a situation recently with housing. People were misappropriated and things were done to them and all that kind of stuff. $8 million came out of nowhere. So there's money floating around. There's things that can be done. And the past governor did leave us in a decent position, and that's why Mr. Hogan is trying to spend $700 million and destroy our communities. And that is an injustice. And we could fix those houses up, quite a few of them. I'm a contractor of over 21 years. So it depends on you. It depends on me. We can get together and do anything we want. I thank you for your time. I'm J.B. Kenny. I'm running for the 9th District. Reach out to me. I'm going to give you flyers if you need later on, and my numbers and everything. Thank you.
Councilman.
Thank you. Supporting your organization?
Yes.
I already do. I love your food program, the one that you have in the market, and I actually purchase groceries from your food program. But my legislation also supports your program. I authored a piece of legislation that provides a 90% tax credit for urban farming in Baltimore City. Those hoop houses that you see, they produce a myriad of fresh fruits and vegetables because we have such a large percentage of our city that's a food desert. And I also co-sponsored a piece of legislation that creates a tax break for grocery stores to lure them into Baltimore City because we don't have the large grocery chains in Baltimore City. They have certain demographics that they have to have, certain income levels. We don't have that in major parts of our city. So by reducing the taxes on their equipment, personal property taxes, it gives that demographic a different look, and lures more grocery stores to our neighborhoods. Baltimore City and this district is an area where we have price-sensitive neighborhoods. People make purchases of food based on the price, not the nutritional value. So I have a piece of legislation that'll be coming out that creates a credit and a price reduction for purchase of fresh fruits and vegetables. So fresh fruits and vegetables will be less than a chicken box and a half. So people will make better choices, decreasing the disparities, and have better health outcomes because of that. No Boundaries is not an option, it's a necessity, and I support the work that you do, and I will address it not just by coming to your meetings, but legislatively as well. Thank you.
So we're at the end of the forum. Like promised, we have one question that we'll answer. So I asked the
made it a D.
1 minute to answer the question, 1 minute to close, however you want to do it. So it's 2 minutes from here. When we're done, we'll go back to the hall for closing, and then it'll be a dinner afterwards.
And then also, I encourage you guys to mix and mingle, and the specific questions that you did not get addressed, ask these candidates. This is their time to answer your questions. So make sure you mix and mingle. You see their faces. Ask them your questions. Make your voices known.
Thank you. Okay. The floor says, candidates, please speak to your plan of economic development, more specifically, a monetary public investment into deconstruction and revitalization of vacant properties.
Okay. As I look at that phenomenon which has been going on for a lot of years in the city, I really believe that we need to really come up with a sincere, serious plan to tackle what I call not only homelessness, but homes without a home. So again, when you see I have an empty home, that's a building without a home. And it's been going on so long in our city that it is what we have accepted. And again, if when we start to realize that these things matter again in our communities, how our communities look, then we will start to address them. How we'll go about that, we need to bring jobs back into the city. Money need to be given out to put in contracts to come into the city to start to rebuild our communities again. Again, all I'm saying to the 9th District, let's get together, tackle these issues, because they're not old issues. So while we're going to go back, I don't even want to go back and address the old issue. What I want to do is say, what do we do now with this? How do we take this systemic problem that's been going on and now move it so it becomes better for everybody? You have road areas in the city has been vacant for almost 20 years. And so again, it is time for us as a 9th District to start looking at how do we tackle that financially. Economic growth must happen in our communities with small businesses, not only for women as well, And these things can be done if it starts to matter again. I'm not going to let that go. Our needs matter. When it starts to matter to us, then we will come up with legislation. We will start to put things in place. And I'm going to do my very best. And I have a lot to learn about how the budget moves around, how things move around. But for the 9th District, we're going to get what we're supposed to get. Believe that. Because I will do what I need to do passionately and respectfully to bring the 9th District back to a place where we all strive and you see a change in that community.
What's the plan?
Do I have to tell you?
No.
Oh, I ain't think
Let's
so.
close out.
So good evening again, John Bullock, running for City Council. And honestly, growing up and seeing vacant houses, but then seeing City Hall in the distance, made me see that there's a disconnect here. It's one of the reasons why I studied politics, but also city planning. But how do we actually put plans in place to improve our communities? So Kenny mentioned, the governor's plan in terms of, and also JB mentioned the governor's plan in terms of the $600 million in terms of, redevelopment and $100 million for tear down. Now, it's important that some of these houses have been vacant for generations, right? And I've knocked on doors and people living next door to a vacant house for years upon years, and it's affecting their properties. I get it. But also we have to make sure that development doesn't push people out. And so if you look at community land trusts, that's a way to maintain properties, make sure they're not in that speculative market. Because we want people who have actually invested in our city, people who have been here through the hard times, should also be able to be here through the good times. And so I also look at how do we make sure that individuals and community groups can have access to those properties. Think about it. We have homelessness in Baltimore. We got people out of work, and we got vacant houses, right? How come we can't train people to fix up those houses and give people places to live? Some of this stuff is not rocket science, but it's about putting our political will in areas that really matter. Look, this is life and death. This is the life and death of our neighborhoods and of our city. And I'm pleading with you, make a change. Now is the time for a change in Baltimore City. It's why I'm running for city council. Again, my name is John Bullock. I'm running for city council to represent you, to work for the 9th District, the people of the 9th District. You can follow me on Facebook. My website is bullockforcouncil.com. You can find me on Twitter at Doc Bullock. Look, I believe in educating young people. I believe in educating our community, using the tools that we have at our disposal to make Baltimore better. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your ears. And thank you so much for your support. I really look forward to working for you.
Pete Welch did mention that he support the liquor stores, and there's no doubt I smell it on his breath. Well, what we're doing as a plan, we're going down to the city hall, and we're asking to remove the old law that our councilman been voting on for years, to remove that law. So if houses become to be dollar houses again, that you can purchase that house for $1, but all the liens on the houses and the water bills and all of that that's on the houses, they want you to also take responsibility with that as well. So we're trying to get rid of that old rule, that old law, so that people can purchase these houses and be able to fix these houses up, be able to get grants to fix these houses up. For the people that already live in Baltimore, would be able to get these houses and move into them houses. Another thing is that I was working with Home Depot again, and their plans are what they want to do is they want to buy up a lot of the houses in the area that I am in, and to take those houses and donate those houses. And they want to donate those houses to our community center. And what we wanted to do with those houses was to put women in there that was on social service, that's not able to afford to own a house, but get them to own a house in the community. The way that we was putting the young guys to work on the street was that they was going to take up training and learn how to become maintenance men. And they would be the ones that would make sure whatever need to be done in those houses, that they would get the job done.
Thank you.
Mr. Ingram, thank you very much. As far as maintenance, that's cool. Listen, we need a redevelopment plan. The plan is to go and get somebody who knows what they're doing. I've been in construction for 20 plus years. I've already set up a market for us. I've talked with a non-profit organization called Beecher Corporation. They're willing to come in and help us with the technical training. We're going to set up an academy so we can train. While we're in the process of training, we're going to need to get the stuff done. There is a tremendous amount of Hispanic crews out there. My thing is to get them involved, but to make sure that they pull us in. So we're working with them and we're learning. We're going to slowly phase us back into the game. Most of us don't know how to do much, and that's a problem. So how we do this is by planning out how many liquor stores, how many hair stores. We're going to develop the entire community. And we're not talking about a footprint of like 4 or 5 blocks, 10 blocks. We're talking about the entire 9th District. If you look at Emerson Village, the Uplands Project, I was on that project and I was doing those houses. We were getting pushed out. I've been a contractor and I've been an MBE in 5 states and 2 cities. We were not getting paid on time. We were not taken care of, which is one of the main reasons why I decided to get involved, because I know right now, if we do not set this in place, we're going to be in trouble. The houses themselves, easily, if they were valued more, not $12,000, but say 60, 80, and you just reduce the rate that they charge us. We're at the highest rate in the entire state. Reduce it, give us value back, we can do some things. We don't need to have, you have purple, you've got green. We need it to look the same and look cosmetically tight. So the only way to do that is to do it all at one time. Thank you very much.
Just to refocus, can you read the question one more time for the audience so we know exactly where we are?
Yes, it's kind of long. So we want to know how you would handle economic development, specifically money to invest in deconstruction and revitalization of vacant properties.
Okay. Recently, we received the $700 million from the governor's office. Of that amount, $95 million is earmarked for deconstruction and demolition of property, $75 million from the state of Maryland, $19.5 million from Baltimore City. Now, that's fine to tear down properties, but I'm a fan of the Dollar House program, but I would do it quite differently, because when the Dollar House program was in Baltimore, we had funds to actually finance the construction of those houses, and it was much less than it is now. We don't have those same funds available. But it would be great to work with our unions in what I would call a helpers program, because we have so many African-American males and females who know how to do the work but just don't know the code. So if you pair them with a licensed electrician, carpenter, or HVAC person, you cut the labor costs in half, and all they do is give you the regs, you run your wire, you put your studs up, you even put your own HVAC system in, and you take a $165,000 renovation, you cut it down to $80,000. That's just one thing. In Baltimore City, there's a lot of bureaucracy, and that's because there's less trust. And when there's less trust, it gets that way. When people trust each other, things go a lot faster. We have that with the police department, and there needs to be not just a study done, but a complete revamping of the culture in the police department, because they don't treat us the way that we want to be treated. They don't attack crime sometimes the way it should be addressed. And I had a situation where one of my friends who's on medication came down the street with a butter knife in his hand. Well, he was shot by a policeman who didn't even get out of his car. So that kind of behavior has to change. We need to have civil treatment, and we need to have a civilian review board that has teeth. If you look at what we do here and compare it with San Francisco, ours doesn't even exist. San Francisco's Civilian Review Board determines the salaries of police officers, who becomes the police commissioner. All of that's done with the Civilian Review Board. Thank you for listening.